What is going on? What is going on? And the place to
All
be is
right.
it's Community Beacon. I think we'll talk a little bit slow, let people. We are doing this live Friday, the 31st, the last day of January. I hope you all are having an awesome January. It's not too late.
Not too late for what? What's it
Yeah,
not
but
too late? What's not
it's
too late
not
for?
it's not too late for anything. It's just,
Okay.
we checking ourselves now. Check yourself at the end of the 31st and say, man,
You're right.
like what am I looking forward to? What do I need to be? Yeah, I've been on this obedience and submission kick. Finally could put some words to it, but a lot of submission and obedience. And so the question now is, for that I get to ask you all, because I'm asking myself over and over again, is what to be submissive and obedient to. It makes the world a lot easier to go through. It makes, as we continue dealing in this vision series, so on and so forth. Like, what is it that you need to be submissive and obedient to? And you get to ask yourself that question and do some inflection and reflection. Uh, hey, I'm Mike Seville, by the way.
That's him. That's him. The real estate king and the business mogul.
Yeah,
Michael Seville. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and I'm not matching the brother's fly, but the brother on the other side of the screen, that's Joel Simmons with the Tenacity Foundation. Uh, Dressed to impress, coming from an engagement. I know he did his thing. If you know Joe and you know the spirit that he walks around with and the type of
Appreciate it.
energy, yeah, that energy that Joe brings to the room, um, it's fiery.
Appreciate
Uh,
it. Appreciate it, man. Yeah,
so
we. It's
go
it's
ahead,
a
brother.
it's a good day, man. It's a good day to be alive, man. I'm over here in Stewart. I'm at a place called Steamworks Coffee Bar.
Hmm.
Steamworks Coffee Bar. This place is absolutely beautiful. Let me just let you check it out real quick. This is where you like to go to. Little
Yeah.
spots like this that are just in the middle, you know, of a place where you didn't expect to see something like this. And then I just happened to pull it up. I'm like, all right, I got to get to a secure location. And I find this place, and I'm like, man, this is where I want to be at. This place is beautiful. I just told him, I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna buy something to eat. You mind if I do my podcast while we're here? And the lady was like, hey, no problem, no problem. Do what you got to do. And so I got some waffles and bacon coming
Oh
up
yeah.
for me. I'm not gonna eat while I'm on the show, y'all, because I'm gonna get into it. I really will. But this place is beautiful. I love the decor. I love the feng shui. I love coffee, so I figured it's a nice place, man. So I'm bringing y'all here with me.
Shouts out. Stewart is one of those local gems. A lot of things in Stewart you can find. Hope Sound, as we go up north through that area, I've been spending a lot of time, more time than I thought that I would in my life, in Stewart
Yeah,
and Port St. Lucie and Tequesta, so on and so forth. And it's an awesome place. So for you all, and it has these little gems. It still has that old town, it's beachy a little bit kind of feel. So it's well worth a person's time to go out there and explore. Not too far away, not too close. You're not gonna, more than likely you're not gonna see anybody that you'll normally see here in northern Palm Beach County, or Palm Beach County for that matter. So it's an awesome place to go. Glad the brother got a chance to join us. And
let's go,
without
man.
further delay, let's
What's
get
on
into the
for
show.
today?
So I'm gonna tell you how the brother and I are on this, like, without speaking, and sometimes not off times, as we matriculate through and we take our journey on this earth, we come together and we have these moments where we don't necessarily speak, and then the brother puts forth some information, and the way that I receive it, I'm like, oh man, the brother says it differently. Very articulate brother. This is Joe we're talking about. But I'm like, man, I'm thinking of the same thing. So
Mm,
we've really been speaking on doing the vision. So we started off with being aware with where you're at. Then last week I believe we talked about writing it down plainly. We've given it some, some things that you can do tangibly, right? These practical step by steps to think about the vision. And I want us to distinguish between a vision and a dream, right? Like the vision is actually bringing that dream to life. The dream is important. It's a thought. It's been placed there. It could be inspired. You went to sleep and you came up, or you're just thinking about it. Oftentimes we go through life daydreaming about things. Daydream. This would be great if it happened this way. And oh man, I got an awesome way to go. But now the vision is when we're actually having something to put it down that way we can stay in alignment, right? These are certain mindset shifts, certain distinctions that help mindset shifts. It's like, okay, I'm dreaming it, and that's a beautiful thing. Now when we write it down, we have something tangible that we're looking at that we can kind of start moving in that direction to keep us aligned with these dreams. So now we're at the point where, well, okay, Mike and Joel, I wrote it down, and I'm taking practical steps moving forward to get these visions played out, whatever these goals are. And even last week we spoke about the bite-sized steps, bite sizes that you need to take. What's the next action you can take to progress throughout this journey. And now we're at the appointed time, waiting with the purpose. Now this is the interesting part, and we get to chime in on it. Not only do we get to chime in on it, I really jumped into Habakkuk. We talk about Habakkuk 2:2, write down the Lord said. The Lord is talking now about writing it down. What's the verse, brother? So I don't want to butcher it. Write the vision, make it plain on tables, so he may run who reads it. And then here's the next step. Now we're talking about the appointed time, waiting with the purpose. I'm reading from the ESV. I know the brother's a KJV guy, so he'll talk to you in the KJV. I just gotta have the ESV opened up for me right now. But
All right.
I'm going to talk about that for a second, especially if you're reading in the ESV and so on and so forth. Always go back to check on this KJV. Always go back to check on the different ways that it's being interpreted now. I know we want to make it easier and more digestible for ourselves, but sometimes there's a way of this world of writing and making and having these different words that don't really catch the entire meaning. So if I speak to you in a certain kind of way, this is just, I want to be helpful for you guys. If I say something to you and I'm reading, I just happen to be at the ESV because we're on YouTube, so on and so forth, and check it with the KJV. I just check it and say, okay, well, the KJV has these different words to it. Let me delve into these words and do the research on that. But I'm going to continue. Now we're at the point where, for still the vision awaits its appointed time. That's 3. That's Habakkuk 2, chapter 2, verse 3. The vision awaits its appointed time, and that's how we get into waiting with purpose. I'll finish it. It hastens to the end, it will not lie. If it seems slow, people
Wait.
wait for it. I'm giving you the information. This is the guide, right? This is the information. This is the guide. So listen to it. This is not it's not Bible study. We're not going to put it as Bible study, but we've spoken over and over again that the information is there, right? We just need to, do your studying. And then it says, it will surely come. It will not delay. Okay. So that's that, brother. Let's get into it.
I love it. I love it. I think okay, so that's a great way to start off. And let me use this as a segue. I just got out of a graduation where I was the keynote speaker. And I actually, after interviewing the president of this particular institution, I found out this. This has been his dream. He said it as a dream, and there is a distinguishment between a dream and a vision. Um, and I definitely used the two terms almost interchangeably while I spoke because I wanted to capture everyone between dream, goal, vision, and aspiration. I wanted to capture everybody. I don't know exactly where they are sitting, but this man said it was his dream 20 years ago to do what he's doing. And I wanted to encourage people in the audience, 20 years in the making. This man has opened up, this is his second school, and he's opening up a third one for nursing. And this isn't the end of it. I mean, it's his vision is very large, but he's doing it. And this is the encouragement is that he wasn't even a nurse when he thought about opening up a school to become a nurse. Now just chew on that for a moment. Chew on that for a moment because it's like sometimes in this day and age, I feel that people get this aspiration to do something and they think that it's like getting a Jimmy Dean sausage breakfast sausage biscuit. All I need to do is take it out of the box and throw it inside the microwave oven, and in a minute to a minute and a half I'm eating breakfast. That's not the case. And I think that it's important for us to understand that when we start dealing with business and we start dealing with relationships, it's not the case. You can't you can't microwave your relationship with your wife. It don't work that way. Things got to occur. They have to happen because there's other things that need to happen in order for things to work, right? Like people have to be able to recognize, realize, you know, become aware of who they are, what they are, identify those key things, and then they have to decide whether they want to be whatever it is. And then they have to create some type of dynamic plan or non dynamic plan. Then they have to start working at it. The same thing happens with the business. It doesn't just happen that way. Many times when we see people in the industry of arts, we think that they just showed up yesterday. But a lot of these people were, you know, singing in their garages or rapping in their garages. And they were going to clubs and they were playing instruments and things like that for years before anyone ever even knew who they were. And then because they had perseverance, they never stopped. It was then 5 years, 10 years, or like this man, 20 years later, when he opens up his school. And now you see that the vision has come to pass. And that's the reason why you have to wait. You have to tarry because when you put it out there, it's coming. I'll tell it to you this way. I was speaking with the members of the congregation on one occasion, and I was trying to get them to understand something. If we are our father's children, like that's, I'm my father's son, right? So we are our father's children. Then remember this scripture is Isaiah 55, and things around like 6, 7, 8, 9. But it talks about how as the snow comes down, as the rain comes down, and it lands on the earth, and then it goes into the ground so that it may nourish the seed, and the seed may be given to the sower. And he explains it, God explains it as in my word, when it goes out, it will accomplish whatever it is I sent it to do. So when we are our father's children, we need to start thinking like, okay, if this is my vision and I write it down and I put it out there, it will happen. It's going to accomplish what I set it to do. So I just have to stay focused and I have to be patient and humble and continue to pursue it, persevere through anything that's going on. And I believe at the end of the day, you'll find that more of your goals will come to pass, more of your dreams will come to fulfillment, and your visions will become reality.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I guess as we spoke about it, and we have a couple of things points here. I think we had a couple of points last week. We didn't finish them all. However, uh, oh man, the level that we're starting on is a pretty high level. Like how we just, what we're talking about is, you kind of almost have to be there and in this position to kind of to understand it. And so, especially based upon what you've been told, and more importantly, what you imagine things to be. Like you mentioned, brother, the brother said it was 20 years. You got artists who, all of a sudden are famous, and the saying goes, oh, it took 20 years to become an overnight sensation. Because in the midst of it, they were already this thing, this artist. So what can we do while we're waiting? How can we wait with purpose? Right? How can we be still and still actively waiting, which is an interesting concept to have. Like, Mike, what do you mean? Joe, what do you mean? How do you actively wait? Hopefully you go back and you watch some of this
Like
information
that.
that we've been given, right, brother?
Right.
And we've both spoke about times when we just had to be still throughout the process. There were times when we're just like, we're being still. And even in this verse that we brought up, the information that we brought up, he talks about, well, remember your mercy during your anger, Lord. Like he's saying, remember me. If you go back through, if you go to the first, when he talks about his complaints, Habakkuk is. So it's like when is this gonna happen? And so here are some of the things that I do personally, and what I call while I'm waiting. I really do a lot of self-development and working on myself while I'm waiting. I still do the actions. We live in a world that things have to happen, right? My children still need to eat. The lights, FP&L is going to tell you the lights need to get paid. Gas needs to be put in the car, so on and so forth. So some of these obligations that we've taken upon ourselves. But in that time, while this thing is happening, right? It's like I'm still becoming the best version of me. Okay, I have this vision, I have this information. Well, how do I communicate this once I'm in position? So I'm going to continue doing this. So even at the position that I'm at times it can see as if I'm overqualified. That's what I'm saying in my mind. Like I'm just overqualified because I have so much more information. I've been working on myself. I continue to do things. If you're speaking, you're going to go to Toastmasters while these things are happening and continue to do these speeches. Although we've done it for years upon years. If those of us who, this is just an example, have been told that you're still going to do the speeches in Toastmasters. It does not detract from whatever it is that you're attempting to do. It just adds on, because as you are these different things, because you are a speaker ultimately, right? So a speaker does what? What does a speaker do? They
Speak.
speak.
That's it. Simple.
So you better be speaking, right? Like so be speaking. If you're in business, you should be in business. How do I service this? My marketing coach, Dean Jackson, said one of the most profound things to me one day. And he says a bunch of different things, but this was profound. This kind of like turned the light bulb on. He says, when you have the prospect, act as if you already have the prospect as a client.
Yeah.
Before you get the prospect, already act as if this prospect is your client, meaning that you should already be servicing them. So by the time they sign on the line to quote unquote hire you, you've already been working for them. What does that mean? Go through the contracts. I don't even know these people. I don't know who the client's going to be. I don't know how they're going to, I do know how they're going to come to me, but who knows, right? Who knows who this person is going to be. But prior to them getting there, I'm studying these contracts. I'm learning the market. I'm acting as if they're already there with me. I already have my schedule for appointments. Okay, I don't see you today, but I'm actually doing something in service of you, or in service of whatever this avatar is, this client, this prospect is, so that when they get there, I'm not fumbling and bumbling and just trying to figure it out at that point in time. Now I have the time to listen, and I have what? The information that they don't have, because the reason why they come to me is because they don't have the information, right? If they had the information, there's no need for Mike. And then if they do have the information, they don't know how to implement it. So Mike is here to tell you how to implement it and already have the information and how it's implemented for your unique or individual situation. So but the whole time I'm waiting on the client, or the prospect. But when they get here, I've been doing it for so long, the information is already there. This
Hmm.
this is also the difference between, if you've ever seen someone who went, quote unquote viral, and you never heard from them again, versus someone who went viral and now they have this longevity in whatever it is that entertainment that they're doing. If you go
Hmm.
back and look at these people that went quote unquote viral, they had 6, 7 years of videos already done where they were probably talking to themselves. One
Mr.
person,
Beast.
Mr. Beast. And all these, it was already there. So now when they became there, they looked at, they said, well, I already have this amount of content. Now you can go back and just look at it all for the last 6, 7 years. And you can actually see how I progressed throughout this time. That's just how it goes. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that's so important, right? I mean, when we start thinking about, the success of whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish, when you stated that, the whole it's work while you wait, right? WWW, work while waiting, and it's so important because there's something we can want to be whatever we want to be, but it doesn't make us be it. We have to become what it is that we desire to be. And we have to walk in what we desire to be until we actually are what we are. And what we are is exactly what we want to be. So it's like, here's three things, right? It requires personal reflection. You got to consider which season of life you're in. What do you feel like is happening in your life? Like, take note of these things. Sometimes we don't take enough note of what's going on. I've got a saying: wherever I find myself, I check myself. It's because you got to know who you are, where you are, and what you are at every moment that you possibly can. That's the only way you're ever going to be able to improve on yourself. So it requires personal reflection, right? Consider the season of life you're in, and these things are evident by certain things. For instance, if you want to be a nurse, right? I just spoke to a class of 25 nurses. If you want to be a nurse and you don't know anything about medicine, you are not in the season of reaping the benefits of being a nurse. So it can be as simple as that, You don't have to like look too much further. If you want to be a mechanic and you don't know how to turn a wrench, you are not in the season of reaping the benefits of building or deconstructing apparatus. But if you check that out, then it's like, well, what season am I in? Well, if I want to be it, I am in the season of sowing. I need education. So the season that I'm in right now is okay. I need to go get education. I need to devour education. I need to plant these seeds inside of myself because I can't plant any seeds inside of somebody else if I don't even have a tree. I don't even have the fruit. I don't have anything. So what I need to do is I need to gain knowledge. That is my season. And this is how you start to figure out these seasons. Now, if you are already doing the thing and you see that all of a sudden everywhere you go, there's an opportunity for you to fix somebody's something or an opportunity for you to help somebody somewhere, using those two different things, then you are in the season of reaping. And you can tell because you don't have to look for reaping. That's the key. You don't have to look for reaping. Remember, it is your field already. It's already your field. All you have to do is walk into it. That's the thing. So when we start talking about patient and being patient, it should be that simple. You should be able to walk into, for instance, myself. I walked into this event. I didn't go out looking for this event. I got a phone call. So it's my season to reap the phone calls. Why? Because I've already planted the seeds. I've already digested the information. I planted the seeds. I watered the crops, and then all of a sudden it's time to reap. You don't go out and look for something to reap, because if you are, then you're probably in somebody else's field, and that's stealing. You're taking from somebody else. You didn't earn that, because when you earn it, it's in your own field. You don't have to go outside of your scope of practice, your scope of knowledge. You don't have to, because your vision is coming to you. That's why we started off with that scripture. Wait on it. It tarries not. Wait on it, though it may tarry, is how I said, though it may tarry. Wait, be patient. It's coming to you. But work while waiting. WWW. Work while waiting. Work on what? Work on the knowledge you need, work on the skills you need, work on positioning yourself to be able to do the work, whatever it is, to be able to commit yourself to the relationship. Work while you wait. And I said three things. That's personal reflection. The second one is accepting the season that you are in. If you're in one season, don't start lying to yourself and telling yourself that you're in a different season, because you're not. So don't do that to yourself. That right there will cause you to believe something that is not true, and you will extend yourself beyond your own ability. Hello, I've done it before. Hey man, people, don't let people pump you up. Man, you ready right now? Okay, I'm gonna go do it. But what do I need? Man, all you just need is $10,000. Okay, here's 10,000. Boom, throw down $10,000. It ain't work. Throw down another 10. It ain't work. Throw down another 10. It ain't work. Why? Because you won't ready. It's not your season. It's not your time to reap. So hit the pause button, man. If it's not working for you, stop trying to force it.
Mm-mm.
You don't need to force everything. You don't need to force what is already heading towards you. If it's coming towards you, why force it? The worst thing that can happen is it arrives early and you're not ready, so you let it go. It's like not knowing how to catch a ball. You don't know how to catch a softball. So you want to go out there and get on the softball field or on the baseball field, and you want to go out there and play with the MLB.
To get paid.
You got a 95-mile-an-hour ball coming straight at you, and you can't catch a 5 miles an hour ball.
You in
That
trouble.
thing's going to pop you and give you a lump of knowledge up across your forehead. Lump of knowledge. It's a lesson.
Mm.
Don't try to force it. Accept the season you're in. And like Mike was saying, like we're saying, the rest of it is just simple, simple, simple preparation. That's what I mean by work while waiting. WWW. Work while waiting. Preparation. Always be in preparation for what it is you desire to be. Never think that you know enough, because if you think you know enough, you don't know enough. There's your answer. You ain't got to go to an encyclopedia. You ain't got to go to a coach. You heard it right here on Community Beacon. If you think you know enough, you're wrong. Go learn more.
That was the third. Was that the third one?
That was the third one. That was the third one. Personal reflection, acceptance, preparation.
In preparation. I think a lot of us get caught like you want to skip these steps, but these steps are so simple that when you do skip them, you find yourself. I think that analogy to the baseball is it. Like and I alluded to it while you were talking. My apologies was that I want to go play baseball so I can get this MLB money. And the contracts are $100 million. Well, what's the sense of you getting this $100 million when that ball is coming at you at 95 miles per hour? I guarantee you don't want the money then. You know what I
Nah,
mean? I man, I have one of the most expensive dogs in the world, right? My dog costs a lot of money. But I'm telling you, when he go to use the bathroom, I gotta pick him up. You could get him for $5. Like I'm willing to exchange him at that point in time because it's not at that point in time. But anyway, I was thinking about that the other day. But when that ball is, so you need to really think about what you're there for. The acceptance part throws people off too, brother. I'm glad you brought it up. And I preach this all the time. I'm not even saying preach it. I teach it. I tell you about it. You have to accept where we are. It's one of the toughest lessons that I am where I am. Right? I am where I am, and I'm waiting. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to be the best that I can be at this time with the information that I can have, but I need to accept that. I'm not ready to step on this field and catch a 95-mile-per-hour ball. That ball coming back, and I start to lose credibility at that because if I duck, That's it. I'm sure in that contract there's a ducking
Lost
clause, like,
contract.
yeah,
What is Mike
and
got doing? He's making $1 million to catch them, not to this ain't dodgeball.
it's an interesting situation to be in, because now in order for you to go back and get and start to do the preparation for it, now now you're going up against something else. People's the way that they view you already from your past performance,
Mhm.
and not only the people before you, but now you got to prove to yourself. And if you're not really if you don't really understand yourself and understand who you are, that in itself is enough for you not to get back out there on the court, on it
Yes,
again,
sir.
without anybody saying anything to you. We move into the second part of it. I don't know how many parts we had. This might be the third, actually. And it's because I think you kind of went into cultivating awareness. I think that's
Yeah.
important. And so now we're at the maintaining faith part, like to maintain your faith.
Hmm.
So for me personally, and I've been doing this for a little bit. If you watch the show, I take time out of the equation. I don't think about time. I just think about focus and effort. So I just have focus and effort, and the only time that I put on it is how long I'm doing it, because I don't know if you all know about me, but I can kind of like overdo things. Like I can do it longer than what my body really and my mind really wants it to be done. I can spend 12 hours going through information and just going through the rabbit hole, so to speak. And I find a rabbit hole in everything. Someone might smile a certain way, and I'm going down the rabbit hole of what smiles look like, for 12 hours. So to maintain faith, if I take it out and take time out of the equation and just say, well, it's not up to me for when it reaps. I'm going to see it when it's being reaped, right? I can just take it all. Now there's really not there's no time. I'm not putting time on in this thing. Heck, it might not be for me to reap. It might be for Joel to reap. It might be for my kids to reap, my grandkids to reap, right? Like the vision was given to me. I'm just giving the vision back and doing what it is I need to do at the moment. So I'm not too much worried about it. I'm go back to these two words, being submissive and obedient to my purpose. Everything else doesn't matter to me. I've done everything that it was that I needed to do as far as I'm concerned, because once that happens and I'm no longer here, that's it. So I just take it out of the equation. Brother, you can jump into maintaining faith.
I like it. I like that you went back to that Habakkuk 2:2, because like when we put down our vision, we don't necessarily know. I mean, but let me not put it that way. You should know. You should know. I think that we should know. If you create a vision, then it's for us to follow. And but like Mike said, it may not be for us to complete. For instance, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? He had a vision, he had a dream, and he wrote that thing down, you know, and he spoke it and he pursued it to see it. He could see it, right? But it wasn't for him to fulfill it, but it was for him to walk on it. He had to walk the walk and talk the talk. He had to live the life, because it was the life that he was living that provided us with the evidence that it was a worthy thing to follow. It was worth giving. It was worth sacrificing, right? Being there. Now, I say that from the point of view of me, my research into him. But I can give you another example. How about Moses? Moses talked of the promised land, right? But Moses was not allowed to go into the promised land, right? He ended up going up into the mountaintop and he saw the promised land. So he had the dream from the beginning, he had the vision, but he was only able to go so far. So we don't know. I mean, now if we have smaller goals and dreams, then maybe that's the case of it, and maybe it's time to expand your own capacity beyond just getting a house, right? Beyond just getting a car, beyond just getting a new suit, right? Beyond just starting a business, beyond just getting married, right? and we need to go beyond that. And that's when this faith piece really kicks in, right? Because faith is that power that is beyond belief, right? It's belief beyond evidence, I should say. And so faith dives so deep that it causes us to want to follow when we are unable to see. So Martin Luther King Jr. himself, he stated on one occasion, I'm going to paraphrase this, but he said that faith is the thing that gives you the mindset to take the step up the staircase when you can't see the staircase. And you got to have that. You got to have that on the inside of you that helps you to create that internal motivation. So the three things that I want to leave with you, right, is belief beyond evidence. That is faith. Faith is the ultimate action plan because it gives us what it takes to be able to move through the nothingness of life. When nothing is working, when all bets are against us, faith is the thing that separates all of this, like the Red Sea, and provides a pathway to walk on dry ground. The second thing is motivation and commitment. Motivation is best when it comes from the inside. Now you can have this exterior motivation. You can listen to me and Mike. I definitely would. I would suggest you did because that helps us, but also because we really mean what we do when we give what we give. But there has to, at some point in time, become an internal fire. Remember, when you're dealing with a gas lit stove, the pilot light must be lit in order for the fire to burn bright and to cook that food. If there's no pilot light lit, then there is no fire to cook that food. You ain't cooking without the pilot light. So you always got to have your light, and your light has to be on and it has to have fuel to it. And that fuel needs to be a reservoir of all of your passion, your dreams, your purpose. It has to resonate, which is the reason why we told you before about why the need to write things down and to first do the one thing like Simon Sinek would say, start with why. You need to know the real why. And when that why wears out, it won't the right why. Go deeper, go stronger, go longer until you figure out the reason why you really want to be what it is you want to be, because you can use that to help get where you want to get. And the last thing, the third thing is just aligning your mindset with your goals. This is a part of that preparation. Like our minds are not necessarily set to do the things that we desire to do. Let me go back to the cooking analogy, right? So I want fried chicken, but I don't know how to fry chicken, right? So I need to start prepping myself. I need to align my mindset with my goals. Okay, so I don't know how to do this, but I believe I can. Well, belief is nothing if there's no action plan. So I need to start doing things that would align myself with my goal. I need to change my mindset. Well, how am I going to change my mindset? Okay, I'm going to get around cooks. I'm going to get around people that fried chicken. I'm going to get around the stove top. I'm going to get around the deep fryer. I'm going to start learning these different things so that my thoughts align with not just the actions, but the people that are actually doing it, because they're not just giving off a lesson of how to do it, but they're giving a why. When you start talking to some of these old soulful people, they start to tell you things about how they cook and how they prepare things that nobody else knows about, right? They start talking about how they put the ingredients into it. And we have a saying, in my culture, we have a saying, man, she put her feet in it, right? It's an old saying. It's an old saying because it meant that they put their body and their soul into the food. You can taste the passion. You can taste the love. Now, when we start to get to that level of things, then our minds are aligned with our goal, and it becomes easier to hit the goal because there is an alignment. And you've heard Mike and I talk about alignment so many times, but you got to take it to that next level. If you're not aligned with where you desire to be, you won't get there. You won't get there. Now, there's a chance you could get there, but only if at some point in time you align with where you're going. Because if you don't have If you're not aligned with where you want to go, then any which way is good. That's kind of a, that's almost like a somewhat of a quote of Yogi Berra. Yogi Berra, he said on one occasion, he said, if you don't know where you're going, paraphrase, if you don't know where you're going, anywhere will do. And so it's a little takeoff of that. If you're not aligned with where you want to go, then it doesn't matter where you go because you're not aligned to anything. You're subject to everything. What'd you say, Mike?
I love it. I love it. And in this waiting, I loved when you spoke about them cooking. I always used to say when the food is really good, I said, man, it was made with love. It just makes a difference. You can have the same thing, and it may taste the same, but there's something about when it's made with love. There's something about the people who are enjoying doing it, not just for themselves, but for everybody, right? There's just you can tell the people. My mother used to bake cakes during Christmas time. I haven't met someone that made a cake better, and I've paid for cakes, right? She used to do it for free. Made 30, 40 cakes
Mm,
during Christmas, fruit cakes during Christmas time. She used to soak the stuff, months ahead of time. The fruits is Jamaican black cake is normally what it is. Months
mm,
ahead of time, and she just gave it away free, but it was made with love. People still talk. My dad talks about it all the time. He's like, listen, and he buys cakes by the truckload. He spends hundreds of dollars during Christmas, and he'll say, it doesn't taste like your mother's cake. I was like, it was made with love. These people are doing it for money. This was done for love. There's a
it's different.
difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Uh, you spoke a little bit, brother, and I want to take it back to the awareness of it. This time, this waiting with purpose is a great time for you. And we spoke about it last week. You brought it up this week for you to check yourself in regards to, am I aligned with this thing, this goal, this vision? Where did it come from? Where did it come from? Is it really somebody else's vision? Did I see it on Instagram and it was somebody else going in this direction? Like, where does this is an awesome time for you to kind of peel back the layers of yourself, do this inner work,
Mm,
this understanding, and saying like, what is this? And then here's what this is what's so cool about imagining and the vision. This part and this part only, because I want to talk about that, is that you can put yourself there. There's a great book called Psycho-Cybernetics. A lot of people took from
mm.
it. So if you go back and check out the book Psycho-Cybernetics, I think the guy's name is Maxwell something. I forget the name of the author, but there's not too many books called Psycho-Cybernetics. A lot of stuff
It's
was,
sold out in
is
Amazon.
it?
I went to go purchase it. It was like $100 or $200.
Jesus.
It was sold out.
So
So
you go back and you look at that Psycho-Cybernetics and see they talk about how you can imagine a vision. And I do want to, I'm gonna give you a caveat, but put yourself, and I was always great with that. I could put myself in the place of like, oh man, this is me driving this, whatever car, if that's what I so wanted. And I can put myself in that place, and I could, and essentially when I'm done with it, I can say like, well, I had enough of that. It is not going to be worth the payment. I don't want to pay that much for it. The value is not there for me. So put yourself in that situation in regards to it. I can see the drawbacks, the good things, those type of things, and then to go from imagining to actually observing these things. Like observe versus imagine. Observe, and when I say observe, it's like this is the reality of the situation. This is what it's going to cost me, quote unquote, you know, for me to go in this direction. Is this well? Does this sit well with me? There it is. Maxwell Mall. Oh, my son's home. All right. Give me. No, you can talk. I'm just gonna open up the door for Elijah.
that's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
You say you got to open up the door for Elijah.
Yeah,
All
yeah. Give
right.
me one moment.
All right, y'all. Well, I mean, we'll keep on driving forward, right? So another part of maintaining your faith is just going to be trusting the process. And I mean, but it's not like I hate to say trust the process because like trust the process is like one of these things that people just they say and they throw it around like it's peanuts in the circus. And I don't think that it should be like that. It's about understanding why you're waiting. It's about the experience of the waiting, the journey of the waiting. All of these things are so important because that journey is actually those pivotal points of knowledge that you need to have in order to become whatever it is that you want to become or do whatever it is you want to do. So part of maintaining that faith is also grinding at that axe and making it sharper.
Mm.
Like, nobody really likes to sit there and grind the axe, but if you don't grind the axe, then you don't get a sharp axe. If you don't get a sharp axe, then it's difficult to chop down the tree. If it's difficult to chop down the tree, that means that your job is more difficult. That means it's going to take you more time, more effort, more energy. So, taking the time to grind the axe, make it as sharp as you possibly can, will benefit you in the long run, even if it takes you longer to do that in the beginning. This is the way, this is the reason why the whole trust the process is such a key piece of maintaining your faith. If you're not maintaining your faith by trusting the process, then what will end up happening is the day will come when you will be awarded that work of chopping down all of those trees and creating whatever it is that's going to that according to your desire, and your axe will be dull. And after you go to chop down one or two trees, you may even give up because there ain't nothing like chopping down a tree with a dull axe. Ain't nothing like it.
Especially if you're not a tree chopper.
Yeah, I mean, it's already bad enough if you're not a tree chopper.
If you're not a tree chopper,
You're
if
not
you
an
don't,
axeman.
yeah, if you're not an expert, if you don't enjoy, if you don't definitely, if that's not what you're supposed to be doing, and if you don't put forth the effort, it'll be less efficient. You'll chop down less trees. What's the reasoning for it, right? Man, I love it. And so we'll finish this up. We do have a couple more. You spoke about perseverance,
We did.
um, and patience with action. I think we kind of went through it. If I'm
Hey
not
man,
mistaken, did I miss
I'm definitely
something?
glad that I was able to have this conversation with you
I,
there, Mike. Come on, man. This is legit, man. And the crazy part about this is like we used to be on the telephone and have these conversations all the time, and now we have these conversations on live on air. So this is definitely interesting, and it's been a blessing, man. This is like our own little mastermind.
this is love. I think this is what I would consider it. That because love has giving to it, and this is giving some critical and key information that we talk about business. You can use this information in the business. You can use this information with your health. You can use this information in your relationships, very important. And then you can use this relationship within yourself. Like we're rattling off, if you didn't catch Maxwell Maltz that Joe put on the screen for psycho-cybernetics and you never heard of this book, which ultimately a lot of people don't. I mean, at what point do you get this information? This is a way for you all to get this information so that you can use it in your daily life. How does this work? And then see people who are actually doing it. We do not proclaim to be perfect. I know I know I don't. I was on the phone the other day but we do have high standards. So I think there's some people make a mistake. They mistakenly believe that the higher standards is perfection or us believing to be perfect. And that's not the case, right? It's just, I do believe we have higher standards, and it may come off to some people, oh, the higher standards of being perfection, but it's not. Higher standards means that we want to reach a certain, we know who we are. We know there's greatness within us. You understand? And we fail constantly. There's a perseverance. We fail probably more than most people in all kinds of ways, right? Some ways that we're like, oh man, like, hey brother, I got to talk to you. A lot of these conversations probably come from that. Brother, you
Yeah,
busy?
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of these conversations come, hey brother, you busy? You get that text message at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hey brother, you awake? You what's going on, brother? Listen. Let me talk to you real quick. You got a little bit of time? Let me talk to you.
That's it. That's it. That's it. We need more though, right?
Yeah, a lot of these conversations come from that. Like, brother, hey, I got to talk to you about something. I mean, what's on your mind? So a lot of this comes from from those conversations, and now you all are receiving of that, knowing that these brothers is going through it, but because we're transparent and we're not afraid to share this information. You all get the jewels. Like, these are the jewels of it. And here's another thing that I think is awesome about our conversations, for the most part, is that the judgment is not, it's kind of really not there, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, the judgment is not really like there in that kind of way, because by the time we have this conversation, I think a lot of you and I have all kind of reconciled a lot of this stuff within ourselves, right? So the conversation that I'm having with you, brother, is like, I kind of reconciled it. I was very, very angry, probably, or felt some kind of way at the moment, but now I'm just kind of reconciling it. And then I get the perspective from the brother, which makes, this is the mastermind. I get the perspective from the brother, like, okay, brother, well, here, see it from this point of view. Or here's you heard this scripture. Here's I just I got it from this kind of view, from this vantage point. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Because and Chris Voss talks about this in his book, Never Split the Difference. So what I noticed the brother does for me is the brother actually comes to my side of the street first. He comes to my side of the street and he looks and he says, "Oh, okay, I can see why you see it this way." And then he says, "Well, let me show you something else." You know what I mean? And then I go on to the other side, and we've done it so much that, at first it was like the correction or whatever you want to call it was like, I don't want to listen to the brother now. Now I've gotten to the point where it's just like, it's serious. The brother told me something a long years ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago, and we talk about this from time to time. When I was at the city working with the supervisor, and I'm just like, man, and if anybody knows me and the people that we tend to be very ambitious, and we was young bulls, we ready to get to work, for the right cause, right? And then you getting tempered for whatever reason, or you feel a certain kind of way about it, and I'm emphasizing feeling, because that's what it was. And the brother brings up something. Well, brother, you gotta, you in this position, and ultimately you chose to be here. You're choosing to be here. You gotta kind of listen to what this person is saying, because you chose this. And when the brother said it to me, I was like, man, that's not what I wanted to hear. But man, you get around real brothers that sometimes they got to tell you, not sometimes, all the time, I would imagine, that I don't want to hear. And he says it, and then going back to this part, accepting it, right? Accepting it, especially accepting the accountability of it, because we created most of this stuff, right? These quote unquote challenges, and like sometimes just from the way that we see it. So to have someone there that's going to be able to allow you to see it differently, or see this challenge as really a lesson or something that you can learn from, is it's needed. It's necessary for me.
It's necessary. It's necessary. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
Brother, we gain strength and knowledge.
Is your food there? It looked like it. Is it getting cold? Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Did it?
She just came to me. She said it was time. I said, okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect. Let the brother eat, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Likewise, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
And enjoy your meal, man.
To all of them out there in Community Beacon World, keep us in your prayers and continue to push us up so that we can do great things with this podcast and with all other things that we are aspiring to do. All right. You are a part of our vision. Thank you.
Love you all. Peace.